Ryuzaki dostępne! Jest to wombo combo ze strony Agoro!
Welcome one and all back to the Amazon EU Masters, where the Irish, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over. I am Mushy and I'm joined always by my absolutely faithful Irish brother Dagda. You're feeling a little under the weather, but you're going to power through because we got some banger games.
Yeah, I looked at Phoebe from Friends, was like, I can smelly cat my way through this, and that's exactly what my game plan is. So we'll see how it goes. If I start to die and choke halfway through, but no.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to start singing halfway through this day.
Oh, God,
no. Yeah. Well, we of course are coming into our last day of groups. We got ourselves set up yesterday, though, as we did see another French team take a #1 seed.
Yeah, another French team takes another top seed, adding 3 to the pool, but Heretics, just on your screens here, starting to take that game against SK Prime. Kind of surprising to see SK Prime not being able to have a bit more of a showing, like sitting at 1 and 5 in that group. But Heretics, like that scrappiness, that fighting that they like to go for, coming in clutch against that Doc representative.
Yeah, really did kind of come out to it. Heretics, of course, will be joining the likes of G2 and whatnot into the LEC next year. But for now, they want to try and make as big of a mark as they possibly can as they got themselves 2nd seed. But honestly, it was just all about BDSA Academy. It was just about these guys kind of rolling over people because they just played these fights so well. I will say, the Lions did give them a fair run for their money, but they were running for their lives not too long after that.
Yeah, the LFL 2nd seed kind of putting on a bit of a show, honestly, in their group, like undefeated across the day. We got some great plays coming through from them as well, especially off of Adam, which I think we'll see a little bit later. But yeah, just absolutely dominating. Heretics again then coming in, looking good. I think it's so much fun watching Heretics just because of how scrappy they are. Like, they are constantly looking for skirmishes, they're constantly willing to fight, and it makes things so much more interesting.
And it's, of course, SK Prime trying to make something work, but it just wasn't really to be. As we said, BSA just looking so damn good. And even there, they try to throw everything onto Shio. It doesn't quite connect. And then from there, again, it gets all a little bit too messed up. It gets all a little bit too messy. And you're just caught between a rock and a hard place there for SK Prime.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see some of these, like, well-known names within the League of Legends scene, like Gadget, not now being able to move on towards playoffs. But, I mean, it kind of just speaks volumes about how good and how far the league has progressed here in the EU Masters.
This is our boy.
Like, yeah, that's...
This is our boy. Irish blood, Irish brethren coming in here. Arcane Teddy putting on a show in the 1v1. It was a battle of warriors.
Yeah, we'll claim him even if it doesn't go so hard for them. But, I mean, look, able to get that win over SK Prime. Unfortunately, not able to get himself in towards playoffs as well. Like, BDS Academy, very handily, it feels like, taking that top seed here. And even here against the Heretics yesterday, kind of putting on a bit of a clinic.
Yeah, 6-0 for BDS Academy. So they joined Game Ward, who are also 6-0 and a #1 seed. LDLC 5-1, but they did win a tiebreaker against X7 Esports, so they got themselves top seed. Now we have 3 top seeds from the LFL region. The French coming in. And you know what the greatest thing about that, if you're an LFL fan, is you're dodging every other French seed. There's no one else to follow into, so you're going to have to beat an LFL representative if you're going to try and get up against them.
Well, we'll have to see if that is going to be true, because right now UOL are sitting top of their own group, and it's the LFL who are in 2nd place. We'll have to see if Vitality B can try and knock them off that top spot.
Yeah, we're going to have a little bit more time to talk about the LFL. Of course, we got to talk about the pentakill that came for Adam there. It was just a very nice one. I'm going to say it, though. I'm going to be the negative Nancy in this one here. Pentas are not given. They are earned. And I feel like he was given this penta just a little bit at the end.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ekas being the good guy at the end, giving that one across. But, I mean, this was so well played by Adam and kind of showing why Nar is so terrifying when he's able to get into a position where he can get these big Gnar ultimates off, he gets a couple of kills under his belt, and I mean, FLICKR sending himself in, and Ekkas goes, right, I'll give it over. I'll make sure that Adam will get his glory.
Yeah, gets himself his pentakill, obviously officially registered, even if I can be a little bit salty about it. But you know me, I'm just a ball of negative energy most of the time. But we can now look at our standings and have a look at, as we mentioned earlier, those 3 LFL teams coming in, 1, 2, and 3, all atop their group. And look, Dagda, if there was any doubt that the LFL were strong, I think that's gone now. Yeah,
I mean, especially when you look at, like, 6-1 for LDLC is the worst score that they have at the moment, with BDS Academy and Game Ward sweeping their groups. And it's now going to be a question mark of if Vitality B can kind of do what LDLC did against X7, like find that tiebreaker moment, beat UOL at the end of the day, and see if they can try and get themselves into that top spot to match their brethren. But either way, I mean, it's LFL dominance at the moment.
Yeah, looking like LFL looking very strong, but they're not to be outdone. We do have the Prime League #1 seed coming in here, the Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition, 3-0, and honestly looking exceptionally coordinated. We were just looking at the VODs very much, a couple of minutes ago, and we we're gonna say this team looks like probably the smartest in this group, maybe even in the whole league. We've plenty of VODs to look through, but for the moment, they're looking strong.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely a team that's kind of packed full of a star-studded roster, right? You look at Lurox, who used to be in LEC. You've got Ruby there, who used to play across the LPL for Rogue Warriors as well. Like, this is a roster that has a ton of talent behind it, so not massively surprised to see them doing well. And when you've got Sheepy as your coach as well, this guy, I mean, he's been coaching some of the top teams and pushing teams to new levels for such a long time in European League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean, Unicorns of Love are a very heartfelt reminder of European League of Legends. We hope to see them back in kind of the upper tiers of major regions. But we're going to have a look at their schedule for today, because we start to ramp up. For Zero Tenacity, they've got 0 lives left. They got to win. They got to do something. Otherwise, the Ultra League #1 seed ain't going to be going anywhere.
Yeah, there is a very, very few scenarios where Zero Tenacity can make it out of the group, but it starts with them trying to take down the top seed at the moment in UOL Sexy Edition. And that will then be followed by, I think, like, for Vitality B and Giants trying to see if they can bounce back from what has been a rough opening for them in this group. But my eyes are firmly on that last game of the day. Like, that is going to be such a banger of a game.
I mean, you're looking at literally the only French team that might not be able to make it as a top seed versus the current only real hope for the rest of Europe, without it being a full 4 French versus 4 French, or French versus French side on the semifinals. So this is kind of the moment here to see just how dominant the LFL are, and again, to kind of put Prime League a little bit on the map as well, but not to be outdone. I think the Super League might have something to say about that. Giants not too far away. We still have some chances for some fireworks.
Yeah, I think for Giants, I want to see them trying to go back to a bit more of like basics, right? Like, play through a strong mid jungle, see if they can set up for a bit of plays down towards Kadui in that bot side, like actually find the success that they need, because it just feels like they're struggling to match up in the early stages of the game, especially when you've got teams like, Unicorns of Love and Vitality B, who are so good at finding those cross maps.
Yeah, it feels like, again, the smarter teams are the ones just kind of playing the map smart, kind of better for themselves, recognizing map states and just getting those proper timings off that we all know and love. And we're going to hone in a little bit now onto Zero Tenacity versus Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition, because as we mentioned, this is the last chance you got to feel for the side of Zero Tenacity. Yes, there is a scenario where you end up with a 2-4 tiebreaker between the 3 teams from 4th to 2nd, but very unlikely, and it's out of your hands then. So you gotta try and hit the ground running. But they've looked, honestly, just straight up, they've looked poor so far this E-Masters.
Yeah, I mean, they've been struggling at times to even match up in lanes, especially in that bot side. We've seen them really struggle in advantageous matchups, like, say, the Kalista, where you have to try and play that little bit more aggressive. So I think this is where we got to see if they can steady themselves, like come in with a bit of comfort and show exactly what the Ultra Liga is going to be capable of doing, because unfortunately this is the last seed that is available for Ultra Liga to try and progress, and 0-3, it's not looking so hot for them.
Yeah, you at least look for the Prime League and, of course, for the Super League. Hell, even NLC. NLC got 2 seeds out, so they're feeling pretty damn happy at the moment. But yeah, as the Ultra Liga, you want to try and be doing as big of a splash as you possibly can, and it comes down to trying to disrupt the tempo, trying to take Unicorns of Love off of their comforts and get them a little bit more kind of shaky, rough and ready. Because at the moment, from watching all the games from Unicorns of Love so far, it's kind of look like it's just gone to plan. They haven't really been questioned that hard in how they've been playing the game.
Well, that's the thing. I think the meta has kind of shifted into something that they're very comfortable with. Ruby, like, for the longest time, has always been a big Azir player. And even when he was back in Rogue Warriors in 2020, like, that was his go-to pick. So you're just seeing him consistently get his hands on that. I think he looks really good in things like the Ahri as well, where they can lean into these bot side dives. And I think that's kind of been the big difference maker for UOL. Like, this is a team that likes playing around their bottom lane quite a bit, likes going for early dragons, and the meta is shifting into that perfectly. And when they consistently ban away things like the Dravens, the Kallistas as well, they're opting in towards like Zeris and Sivers consistently. It feels like they have a very good read on the meta and how they want to approach the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. You look at all the major regions, across every single continent. It is just about that kind of bot lane. Even you can disrupt it a little bit. We saw in the LPL quite a lot. The Lucian, the Draven, the Callista was a huge power pick of getting that early thing. But you have to play towards it. There's not just we're fine. The reason why we're seeing the Sivir and the Zeri go so often is that they're safe to build up into those late game carries. If you want to try and disrupt it, you have to throw resources at it.
But the thing is as well, like, it feels like a lot of teams aren't fully comfortable playing this style, and that's why we're seeing UOL looking so good, right? Like 100% ban rate against UOL for things like the Yuumi. 2/3 of their games they've had this Lulu banned away as well. Like, it feels like teams are kind of going, oh well, they know how to play the meta, they can play it very well. And when we're not able to match, suddenly, the fact that you can't really start to trade these power picks back and forth. And that's why I think, like, shout out to UOL, like, they have really adjusted well into this style. And especially, I mean, Ruby, where he talked about, has been, like, massively been able to play these picks for so long. But you're also looking at Shiganari in that bot lane as well. Like, the Sivir has been a great pick for him. He has been getting caught out a little bit when it comes to like overextended lanes, but the team fighting has been spectacular. Like, once they don't start to get picked in the mid game, they're very good at like leaning on Ruby specifically to be that big damage carry.
And what I love that you mentioned Ruby as well, because we're going to jump straight into picks ban, but we have been seeing Lurox just shadowing him so much. Yes, you can pick the Azir, but you can't really be as mobile as something like the Ahri or even a Talia, so you do need a couple of extra resources. You need someone to kind of just make sure you're able to do what you need to do in a side lane and then join the rest of your team. But right now, we're coming back into this one here. As you mentioned, that you can disrupt the bot lane, but they're going to try and stop it on the inside of Unicorns. I love they're trying to get rid of that Draven, maybe even the Lucian as well, to make sure that Zero Tenacity have no way of trying to break the mold, if you will.
Yeah, and I like this idea from Zero Tenacity, like trying to stamp or put a stamp on the mid lane. Like, the big way that we've seen UOL play is like Lurox using the pressure with Ruby to lean into bot side or going for invades and getting big advantages on things like the Trundle. But now the Trundle banned away, with the Azir banned away, I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially an Ahri ban away here by Zero Tenacity as well, and just like make it so much easier for you to try and play through the mid lane with Sebekx, who has kind of been much more reliant on things like the Corki and that kind of style.
Yeah, I will say there is one scenario today where we have a three-way tiebreaker, which is the 2 and 4 that we were talking about for Zero Tenacity. Only a 1.56% chance of that happening. But if you know Casual, you know XL, there's a chance. There's always a chance as we come back in to get a picks and bans. Look at this bot lane focus right now coming in. The Lulu banned away. No Yuumi ban, though, from Zero Tenacity. I feel like you take that because the Zeri and the Sivir are still up.
Yeah, it feels like Yuumi kind of a no-brainer here. Usually we've seen UOL like ban away the Callista, but kind of just saying, look, Zero Tenacity, we're happy to first pick that. We know that Visa Z doesn't play that very well. And now they're kind of calling out Wojtus as well, saying, look, are you able to play this Yuumi? Because if you don't, whenever we get first pick Wukong, Ryuzaki hasn't been willing to play the Poppy. So do you end up just kind of calling them out, saying, look, you don't play Poppy, you don't play the Yuumi, and we're going to be able to get our hands on some of the more aggressive bot laners in the likes of that Zeri and Sivir? But at least at the moment, looks like Zero Tenacity are going to hover the Yuumi, but it will be the Sivir locked in initially.
They do take it, but again, they're kind of saying, look, we'll take our AD carry. They're kind of calling out, again, kind of a back call of the Unicorns love, saying, well, we might take it. Are you going to take it? We got our favorable ADC, and I will say that a Sivir with a Zeri on, or a Sivir with a Yuumi on her is very terrifying prospect to kind of come into. But again, like I said, you can just Zeri, Yuumi right here for Unicorns. It wouldn't be too off the bat. It would actually be totally fine to take this.
Yeah, I think that's your best bet, right? You still end up like with a pretty favorable side of the matchup. You've got great engage. Yuumi can link up with Wukong, and like, it's very difficult for a Sivir to try and get away from Wukong and a Yuumi, who are providing all this poke and everything else. But that's interesting to see. So at least coming out, I imagine this Seraphine is going bot side, like an enchanter to try and answer, especially with Lulu gone. I thought we might see the Renata, but this is going to be kind of providing a similar story, but at least having more shielding and healing than the Renata can kind of bring to the table.
I will say, This split, Ultra Liga, Sebekx has played the Seraphine in mid 3 times. So this is a bit of a flex here coming out from the Ultra Liga #1 seed. So I like that they're kind of, like you mentioned, you would imagine this will be going down that bot side to mitigate that pressure. You get the healing, you get the, you know, the big AoE ultimate as well. But this wouldn't be a surprise in my eyes to see them kind of take that. And you can even see now with taking away things from that mid lane, trying to limit Ruby for what he can answer into it. It could end up being a big flex.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because it feels like, obviously, Silas can do well by stealing away the Encore as well, but I'm curious to see if they ban away the Ahri, because right now, if that is going to be the Seraphine in the mid lane, I feel like Ahri can do reasonably well into her. You've got good mobility, which helps out. Also, the fact that if you end up flexing that Seraphine into the bot side, a lot of those answers to Ahri are already taken off the board with the Swain, with the Silas. So maybe Zero Tenacity just take the Ahri on this next rotation. Whereas it looks for UOL, they're trying to set up for some sort of like Renekton pick for Scarface in the top lane. Or an Ornn pick as well. It's kind of been the 2 champions played, but like Aatrox does well into both. With the Ornn ban, I definitely feel like Scarface would be going towards that Renekton.
Yeah, it feels like you're kind of going for that very powerful topside pick. We have seen the Renekton and Sejuani kind of picked against each other for a while. Zero Tenacity, like you mentioned, could pick up the Ahri right now and just give themselves a very powerful mid laner that can very little counters in towards them. So we'll see what Sebekx wants to go for. They might even pick up the Renekton themselves if they're feeling confident. No, they're going to go for the Sejuani. Again, keeping that support mid flex for as long as they possibly can to see exactly what they're going into.
Yeah, I mean, Renekton does well into the Sejuani, so it looks like, at least for the moment, Scarface pretty happy to lock that one in. And then it does become a question, like, what do we see for Ruby? I mean, I think the Ahri, still a good spot here, especially since, like, a lot of those answers were banned away, and you can do relatively well into the Seraphine, but we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is going to be for Ruby. Okay, not what I expected.
Ooh, okay, I like this. You're giving yourself that global pressure, good AoE to kind of follow up with, and again, massive amounts of scaling coming in here for Scarface.
Yeah, and you still have decent engage here for like Lurox, also with Winsome as well, having the last chapter, or final chapter, so you've still got answers to try and make those big plays happen, and then you've got the kind of barrage on top of it, good use of the upper globals as well with the GP, and it looks like Ruby may just continue to go back towards instead the control mages. So I know will be the Ahri. Okay, so they do kind of say, look, we feel fine into the Seraphine, a lot of those answers are banned,
Yep.
Let's just go for that. So I mean, great mid jungle here for UOL, which is what we talk about a lot with this team, trying to play through that. Opportunities to lean into bot side as well. And Scarface can kind of just do his own thing and farm up for late game. So I like what UOL are bringing to the table here.
Yeah, I really do think that you're well. Like, you could probably maybe if you pick the Renekton, it's a bit more of a meta composition that you would honestly pick for yourself. But this feels like it ticks all the boxes of how they like to play, how they like to move around the map and get pressure through just being smart macro positions. Whereas on the other side of Zero Tenacity, it does feel a little bit like comfort. You're picking the Seraphine, something that's very prominent in the likes of the NA. You get an LCS a lot of the time, but it is going to have some kind of massive impact to try and outdo the Ahri. Yes, your ultimate can be very effective with the Encore, but it's a very big if depending on when and where you're able to use it.
And it feels like a lot of this composition relies on VZZ as well. Like if the Sivir doesn't get ahead, it's kind of like, well, you know, Seraphine isn't going to carry your damage, Sejuani isn't going to carry your damage if I can, you know, do a single target DPS, but not exactly great at trying to finish off a team fight. So I think overall, I just kind of like the fact you've got multiple threats coming through on UOL, the ability to try and play through a strong mid jungle, and I mean, good matchups pretty much across the board.
Now, don't forget to claim your August/September League of Legends monthly capsule for all of the Prime shoppers out there for your chance to get RP, Mythic Essence, skins, and more. My producer, Jesper, always has a big smile on his face whenever I say that, and we can now enjoy League of Legends. Thanks, Amazon.
Well, Zero Tenacity trying to see if they can set up, looking to see if UL are going to go for invading, trying to spot out where Ryuzaki's going to start, but looks like it won't be baited in. Ruby going to take this nice and slow, not really give much away. But again, I don't think it really matters for Lurox, right? Like, you're not really going to try to overly force plays on the bot side too early. You are more than likely going to wait for level 6, but also just like opportunities for Ruby in this mid lane. Like if you can try and play through this mid jungle like a charm into the damage from Lurox, blow some early summoners on Sebekx, and then try to lean that pressure into the bot lane.
See what they're able to kind of do. Early jungle pathing is always something we're very interested in. It does look like Lurox is going to be starting off on the bot side. So both junglers starting in their red quadrants. So they're going to be on opposite mirrored kind of pathings, if you will, as they look to try and make some kind of a... I like this, though, from the Sejuani. Popping down a little bit of an early ward. It's just to kind of spot out, because the Vi is good, but the Vi does need a couple of levels before she's really that functioning kind of skirmisher.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same on both sides, right? So it's just trying to get as much information as possible to see, like, how aggressive can these lanes play? Because at the early stages, BZZ should be able to cut... Well, the fact he started with the W means he can push the wave relatively well, but you've always got to be a bit careful, because especially when this Yuumi has the range, she can help to push out now off of second wave state. You should be able to answer a little bit of this push if you will.
Supportable combat coming in. Level 2 should be hit, though, by the Zero Tenacity bot side, so already the Unicorns of Love respecting it, pushing themselves back. I like this, though, kind of getting themselves an opportunity to clear out the vision, give them more pressure, and there is the level 2. Yeah, you just got to back away. Sadly, as a Zeri, you only have your Q until you start getting to the doors of W, and of course, your dash over walls. That's not really an option for you to go for, so we'll see what they want to do. Scarface is going to have the early push into the Sejuani, and these are exactly as we expect them to go here, Dagda.
Yeah, nothing too surprising at all. So I think the big one is, again, going to be looking to see how this mid lane starts to pair out, because Sebekx definitely has the early push in this lane. Seraphine just very good at pushing, but already Sebekx trying to move down towards the spot side, and you have the Vi here as well.
Do have the Vi coming around, so Sebekx looking to try and make a 4-man dive with the Nautilus. This is actually not that bad to do. The flash in, the insta-cleanse, teleport's going to be coming down. The flash there with all the combat summoners. They're trading back 1 for 1. I will say it's a support for an AD carry, but Zero Tenacity, they know how important this game is. They need to make plays like this.
And we said they needed to try and make those plays around BZZ. Ruby now might be caught out, but will just be able to catch this wave. Anyway, BZZ does need to reset. The big thing here is that the TP from Ruby was blown to bot lane, which means Sebekx can use his to get back to mid and kind of control that push. But this is just a nice play set up by Zero Tenacity. They get the early cleanse thanks to the auto from Wojtus. You're able to then move underneath the tower without too much issue. And yes, you lose the support, but 2 waves essentially lost to that AD carry. And Sebekx, as well, as you can see here, TPing back into mid to catch this wave means he won't be too far behind Ruby. So overall, good setup here from Zero Tenacity.
Very, very well done, as we can now see them kind of moving up towards the top side. UOL seeing maybe they could go for something. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for you to get out of this one here. The Sejuani, not quite that squishy, though, and I think Momus is happy enough to kind of just make sure the wave isn't pushing against him. He needs his jungler, though, to really help him out, though, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, I just think that trying to cross-map here as UOL is a nice answer, but you don't really get anything for that, right? Like, Scarface still going to be fine. They don't get the kill. He'll push out the wave and should be able to walk back to lane, but actually probably needs TP just because Mumu does have push. But overall, I mean, this is a nice start for Zero Tenacity, but I want to see them double down on this, especially with all summoners blown by Shiganari and Winsome. Again, you're going to have like level 6 for Ryuzaki, level 6 for Sebekx, a minute and a half. Like, look to try and double down on the spot lane pressure.
See if they do it. We will have Ryuzaki just kind of clearing up from his top side down. Those camps starting to respawn. We did get a reset coming in here for Sebekx in the mid lane, so he's got himself a tier. Not feeling too shabby about that, considering that apart from the boots, everything that that Ruby's picked up is basically disposable. Well, maybe the Dark Seal you end up returning or not returning and turning into a Medjay, depending on how the game goes. But great ward here means they should be able to catch out Lurox. They know that he's going to be around this Dragon Pit, so they should not be caught out by the Wukong just yet.
And look, I like the UOL are trying to get vision control over this river. Again, like, you imagine that Ryuzaki is going to try and make plays on bot side once more, especially with Dragon up. So just having some sort of vision control to spot out when Sebekx roams, maybe if you can catch up where Ryuzaki's moving, will make things a lot easier for Lurox to be able to answer. And I think Lurox has been really good in general, like using his lane pressure to go for invades, trying to find moments where he can play around lanes. But this is kind of a bit of a different game for him right now, where he's going to need to try and shadow bot side and shadow Ryuzaki so that his bot lane isn't falling further behind.
So be careful once Sivir starts going, once you start to see an AD carry, especially in the Sivir, yeah, they're gonna go look for it, but need to get this wave pushed in. Not great vision here at all. They land the hook, there's no cleanse, never mind there is. They're gonna try and jump it straight away. The ignite comes down. One more auto attack from the Sivir would be good, but it's not quite enough, but now you can just shove this in, and this is honestly great from Zero Tenacity, really recognizing their win condition.
And again, look at where Ryuzaki was. He was sitting in behind the lane in case Lurox showed up, in case anything went astray, but VZZ and Wojtus just doing a good job of keeping the pressure up. Now Dragon will be started. Plate goes across. Shiganari needs to be careful of those ricochet blades, but Ruby.
Yeah, they saw him out, so they know that this could be an early Dragon take. And this is very early with the new Dragons, the extra HP. It's so hard to actually kill these off so early, but with the massive amount of pressure you now have on bot side, you can get this Dragon, reset, now set yourself up for success around that Rift Herald. And I gotta say, this is a very different look to Zero Tenacity that we saw in week 1.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, especially for Zero Tenacity, one of the biggest problems that I had with them was not really playing towards win conditions, not really understanding how they could set up on the map correctly, but this has just been really, really smart play. And even Mumu's here, reading the potential cross-map from Lurox and making sure that Lurox isn't getting anything. So at the moment, this is just Zero Tenacity outplaying Unicorns of Love on the map.
Really well done here, and it's going to take Unicorns of Love to get a little bit more creative, maybe. Yes, they've got fantastic scaling with the Gangplank and the Zeri, and the Ahri doesn't do too badly either, but you got to get there. You got to be able to get to that particular point in the game before it really comes out, and you're against a Sivir and a Seraphine. Seraphine doesn't come out as, or across as one of those big late-game damage carries, but once you start to get 3-4 items, especially in the path you would tend to go for in mid lane, she does hurt, and it's very difficult to cut through.
And that's the thing, that's what we tend to see a lot with these specific AD carries, is that what happens pre-20 minutes doesn't always follow the logic of what happens, sorry, post-20 minutes follows the logic of what happens pre-20 minutes. So I think this is definitely a case of, like, can Zero Tenacity try and ride this momentum into, well, potentially play top and also the Rift Herald?
Yeah, it's the Rift Herald play that we were talking about. Rift Herald spawns, they get pressure on top side. The resets came in, but no one from the side of Unicorns of Love anywhere near this. This is double objective now going over to Zero Tenacity, but the big thing we always say with the Rift Herald, Dagda, it's not about getting it, but it's how you use it. If they're able to get more pressure, more objectives, more gold, that's when we start to see if this was worth it or not.
But again, UOL try to go for the cross map and just good wards. VZZ had one just at the, in his own jungle, spots out Lurox, who tried to sneak over the Dragon Wall, so you're not really getting these opportunities. And now Sebekx is actually going to try and match this bot side lean here to make sure VZZ can get the place that he needs, and Shiganari can't get another plate for himself. So really, really well played by Zero Tenacity. Like, this is very different from what I've seen from them thus far in the tournament.
Yeah, really, really is. And look, we were probably looking at some of the games, and I think quite rightly, we were kind of scathing of looking at them. We will see Scarface with the Vi, not going to hit the Q, going to force the flash out with the ultimate. I think that was a little bit of a half effort there from Zero Tenacity because they recognized that the Sejuani was so low, but hey, a summoner is a summoner.
Yeah, I think they were also a bit worried because Ruby had started to roam up, so a bit scared of, like, the Scarface throwing down the ultimate, buying space for Ruby to come up, and maybe having UOL turn that around. But at the moment, I mean, you still get the flash from Scarface, still have an opportunity to try and play towards that top side if you want. But again, I think Lurox here, once more, trying to use his mid and bot pressure to invade on bot side, and just try to answer every time Ryuzaki shows on the map.
So we're kind of coming up to the point where Mythic should be finishing up very soon. You know, you're starting to see more creativity coming out as everyone's hitting level 6. Where do you want to see Unicorns of Love take back initiative in this game? Because right now it feels like they're reacting rather than being proactive. So what do you want to see from them to kind of change up the script?
I think the big one is trying to see if they can disrupt this, like, Dragon take from Zero Tenacity. Try and go for, like, an early reset, maybe like 130, 120 before the Dragon spawns. Like, get deeper vision control on this bot. So you can see they very much have control of River, but start to push that vision even further into Zero Tenacity jungle, and then look for picks with Ruby, with Lurox, even Winsome, like, connecting with Lurox rather than Shiganari on this bot side, and then you can kind of, like, disrupt the tempo that has been built up. But as you can see, a little bit difficult to do with Ryuzaki now moving into bot side, Rift Herald in tow.
Yeah, Rift Herald in tow, and this tower is going to go down, so it's going to be full plates, you would imagine now, going over to VZZ. So this is a pretty big swing in momentum now back towards Zero Tenacity. They're not quite sure where everybody is, because as you can see, very little vision on the minimap for them on the bottom half of the map. So they're respectfully going to ban away, but that's a sneeze away from falling down, Dagda.
Yeah, literally an auto attack from VZZ will take that down. Looks like he might even try and get that at the moment, but just going to play it safe. As you say, this is where that vision control for UOL is kind of coming in a little bit, making sure that, say, Zero Tenacity can't overextend for that. But with 50 seconds until Dragon, great reset for VZZ. Should have his Mythic, I think, completed off this reset. So that's going to set him up so nicely. Yeah, there it is, Kraken Slayer. So setting him up really nicely for this next fight. Like those bouncing blades in between everyone with the Kraken Slayer deal so much damage.
Yeah, got himself the boots as well, so not going to be as slow. Has got a couple of brown bags to stop him from getting those sores on his legs. So 30 seconds to the next dragon spawns. You have still gotten pretty decent gold here for Unicorns of Love, but it is basically on top side alone. It's dead even everywhere else. Woo! Red's line just goes a little bit too far away, but at the same time, this is Unicorns of Love trying to see if they can make a cross map, trying to make something happen here on the spot side. VZZ, he's getting flashed on. There's the final chapter. He doesn't have his spell shield to save him this time, and that's going to be Zeri picked up a kill there. Feels like a great little opportunity for Unicorns of Love, and they took it with both hands.
And that's the pick we were talking about for UOL, trying to find that moment where Lurox, Winsome can link up. They managed to get onto VZZ as well, which we already talked about, like one of the massive damage dealers for Zero Tenacity. So now UOL, a little bit more confident to move in towards this river, but not everything is golden for them at the moment. They're still like pushing mid. They still have to be careful of like Ryuzaki having a lot of burst pressure, but UOL still come out with a bit of a lead after that one.
They don't take the dragon, though, afterwards, so it's just a kill, nothing more, nothing less. You will be able to get a reset off of VZZ without him having now Ghost or Flash. This is the thing, yes, the Ghost is fantastic in those later game team fights. It is a great scaling rune or mastery, but it isn't something that is going to be able to help you in those situations, especially with a cat on your back.
Yeah, and that's the big problem here for VZZ is that combo between Winsome and Lurox. Because, yes, you can get rid of, like, the Cyclone, but you only get rid of one proc of the Yuumi.
Wow, they're going to go full commit to this one here. The spell shield's already been used. Ruby being jumped on here by Ryuzaki is flashed away. There's no flash on Lurox as he used it in that last fight. Still doesn't have Cyclone either. But remember, there is a Cannon Barrage for Scarface. So you're kind of a 4.5 versus 4 there in all kind of instances. So Zero Tenacity happy just to get out with their lives.
That was the moment for Zero Tenacity to try to force the play, though, because you had more ultimates available, but Shiganari...
They're still going to go for it. They do get the charm, but he gets over the wall and flashes away. So the Zeri is well happy to keep running away. You can see Muma took a bad trade, but a great hook only onto the dummy. So decoy has been used. Turret does go down, but it's traded off onto the top side. Yes, Zero Tenacity are getting great work in this bot side, but top lane's going a little bit to sunder.
Yeah, they will spot out Sebekx here in river, though, as he starts to move away just with that ward of the back. But yeah, this is where you've got the ultimates now back up for UOL, whereas Zero Tenacity don't.
Yeah, they don't. You want to wait a couple more seconds here, and you'll have the Unleashed teleport here from Mumas, but Lurox is going to go in. There's the Cannon Barrage down with the Cyclone, and oh my god, it's a slaughter. Nowhere for anyone to go, and like I said, the Cannon Barrage just makes it so much harder to even get the TP out of Sejuani, and Unicorns alone finally waking up in this game.
Yeah, UOL just do a really good job of keeping track of ultimate usage in the first fight and the second fight, right? We see UOL burn a bunch of ultimates to get that pick initially onto the Sivir in the bot lane, but now it was Zero Tenacity who actually used a bunch onto the bot lane. So this is where they go, right, we've got so much more available in our kit. The burst damage with the Cyclone, with the Cannon Barrage, also just the Yuumi damage with Ruby is going to be doing so much, and immediately they burst out Zero Tenacity.
And it's a nearly 4,000 gold lead off of that. It was close. It was a little bit here, a little bit there, but look at top lane, Dagda. This Gangplank is becoming scary. Such a huge amount of gold there on him, and you're probably thinking, oh, it's only top lane, but those barrels will probably end up killing everyone and anyone if they come into contact with them.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty damn hard to try and deal with this, especially because UOL, they've kind of figured out, okay, how do we get control back of this game? Well, they got the pick, they got the play on Dragon, they've stopped that stacking from Zero Tenacity, and now they're looking at Rift Herald as well. This is where, again, Zero Tenacity trying to see if they can play into Vision, but UOL have been doing such a good job of keeping control over River.
I mean, look at across the goal differences as well. Like the Zeri now 2-1. That means that the resources you committed down bot side, all those plates are basically nullified. If anything, you know, Shiganari has just got such a great advantage now of his own, just being able to have that zeal before it. So these are small little things that are building back in Unicorns of Love favor, and Zero Tenacity, they're going to be able to have pressure over this Rift Herald for the moment because not great vision control for the side of Unicorns of Love. So should just be the objective, but again, that winning condition of playing towards bot, getting those dragons stacking, not there, and it looks like Unicorns of Love not willing to let this go for free.
Yeah, I mean, they commit everything to this Rift Herald, but you're already getting the tower on this bot side, so essentially you're kind of keeping the pace here as UOL. The only thing is, of course, is now that you got both side lanes down for UOL, it becomes a lot more easy for them to try to, like, get that vision control further into the jungle now, as you can see, like, taking over the bot side jungle, getting the vision down, now looking to see if they can try and dive onto the mid lane turret, but it's going to be very difficult. Like, one of the big reasons we see teams prioritize Rift Heralds against picks like Sivir is because of how good her wave clear is. It becomes really difficult when she's mid to crack a mid lane turret, but bit of a fumble here for VZZ. He's in the top side, so mid lane turret is all sailing for UOL.
Yeah, that's basically 2/3 of it gone there, and you can see just how difficult it is with a Seraphine. And this is the thing, the Seraphine's great, but the Seraphine doesn't build inherently AP-heavy items. She builds the Moonstone Renewer. She builds things that are built to kind of, you know, help the team out a little bit more, rather than actually be a carry herself. So this is going to be that little bit of a moment now within the mid-game where you're kind of just behind, super far behind, and no one can go up against the Gangplank. He's just untouchable on the side lane, even 1v2.
And Ahri. Like, Sebekx can't match Ahri, and like, Ahri's great in side lanes because she's got so much mobility with her ultimate. She can deal a lot of damage. She's got good, like, one-shot potential as well, especially electrocute Leandry's. Ahri can kill Sebekx in a side lane, so you lose out in both side lanes, which is why you're seeing UOL continuously push on these sides, immediately group mid, and again, VZZ should not be top here. VZZ should be mid because he's the only one that can really provide the wave clear they need to keep this mid tower safe.
It looks like they're going to try and maybe go for a dive here with Scarface there. Cannon Barrage, of course, always an option. But look at that one barrel. And Sebekx down to below half HP. And he's been charmed. He's been killed. Didn't even get an encore because, let's be real, the crowd left before the first song.
Yeah, and Moomoo's now, like, is going up against Scarface, but I don't think he really wants to be here anymore. Just was kind of more of harassing him now. Actually, oh, do they find VZZ on top?
I mean, it looks like he doesn't have a lot of places to go. Yes, he has the Ghost, but he's got to be so careful. That being said, you do get the knock-up and maybe a kill here onto mid lane. They're going to have to try and commit everything, and they will. Shutdown goes down. You use all the summoners onto that bot lane category. So Zero Tenacity not willing to let this one go. Unicorn's getting a little bit overzealous, a little bit too comfortable.
Yeah, Shiganari overextends there, especially when you look at Ruby, who had gone for the, like, TP'd into that top side or moved into that top side. It meant that he wasn't there to try and help him out. And now, at least you still will keep control as UOL, but it does mean that you've got Shiganari down for 10 seconds, 30 until Dragon, resets coming through from Zero Tenacity. They can be the ones who set up in this bot side river and try to find that front to back fight they were hoping for.
Dag, to look at the top lane difference, it is the gold lead right now. It is 4.2k, just a little bit under it there, and we have a 4.3k advantage for Unicorns of Love. So it is going to be basically concentrated into that Gangplank. So like we just saw there, if the Gangplank's not there, you can find opportunities. We're going to see Shelly dropped into the mid lane. Should be able to get about half this HP down, but this is just to kind of create pressure around this dragon. So now the hook does come out, the charm does land, and there's the Cannon Barrage very early on. I think that maybe they thought there was a bit more of a fight there. ZVZ's kind of front-riling at the moment, but this poke is starting to become poked.
Yeah, you have no Cyclone for Lurox, no ultimate now on Scarface, and you're kind of looking at VZZ's is the only one that's really down. I mean, a lot of these ultimates for Zero Tenacity are going to be up in just a moment's time, so they will start up Dragon, but you want Ryuzaki's ult up for this fight.
Yeah, you can see they're trying to bait it in there with the dredge lines and the rush. The Nautilus doing well. There's a good ultimate there. It does stop Scarface from moving forward, but the final chapter doesn't really hit onto anyone else. Lurox gets himself on the backside. The encore is good for 2, but they can't really follow up onto anything else. They're trying to jump now onto the Monkey King. Get him out before he can really do anything. They get the Zonyas there from the Nautilus, and he cannot ult in time. So Ends up being a 1-for-1, but look at these health bars. You just used everything now on Zero Tenacity, and you're nowhere the better. So Scarface with this cat on his back, the devil on his shoulder, moving forward, just trying to be as difficult as he possibly can. And everyone's just trying to back this one away. I will say Unicorn's giving respect, that they don't want to get caught out. Multiple CCs there to sound the hunt. They get the splash in. They're going to be able to take down the Ahri. But again, watch Scarface. He's the real carry of this fight. He flashes away. He gets stunned up and rooted down. The power of the Seraphine, and now it's on to Zeri. Zeri and the cat trying to run away from this one here. They should be able to keep that movement speed going again. Very low health bars, really difficult to make anything work. Oh, you got to be so careful. But now we've reset. The dragon's still not taken, so we're going to come back here in a couple of seconds.
And we've respawns as well coming through, so the fact that these members are down ain't going to matter too much. Scarface, the only one that's actually going to be an issue, because actually, I was going to say Ruby's TP should be up, but that's actually still a bit away. So it looks like Zero Tenacity will be able to take this one, but I mean, well, they don't get to fight this. You've no ultimates really available.
Yeah, they haven't got the Ahri coming either. You can see there on the minimap, Ruby just went moving away. Lurox, though, looking to try and maybe get a bit of a steal. He knows he's not on vision. There's actually some great pink wards here from the side of Unicorns alone, but it's so risky, and you could end up losing the Baron off of this as well if you die as the jungler. So I think rightfully they back away. Zero Tenacity still got a couple of tricks up their sleeve.
Yeah, great fight from Zero Tenacity. So Scarface gets good damage, but it's on to Mumu's here, and Shiganari isn't really getting any sort of pressure here. All of his damage is just going on towards Mumu's. Lurox ends up going very deep here as well to try and get the play. So that Cyclone not even getting the second hit makes it a lot easier. Sebekx getting a ton of healing and shielding as this fight goes on as well. Like, having that value come through from this Seraphine has been clutch. And then you looking at the Yuumi trying to provide as much, but AoE shielding here doing a ton of work. The AoE from VZZ as well now starting to play a factor where he's actually getting to deal some damage.
And the On the Hunt giving that extra little bit of mobility, the extra bit of move speed's fantastic. And again, lots was burned here from the side of Unicorns. They lost a lot of flashes, lost a lot of engage opportunities. And yes, it wasn't clean from the side of Zero Tenacity, but a 3-for-2 when you're behind 4,000 gold and you get the dragon, you take that.
Yeah, I think the big way that you want to see these fights played out for UOL is Lurox goes in with Ruby and they dive back line.
So they're going to try and get the cleanse there on the Shiganari, but they're going to be able to kind of push this one back now onto Lurox. There's the Cannon Barrage just kind of pushing people down. These health bars not really lasting as long as they possibly could, but that's going to be forcing flashes now again. Good re-engage coming in here from Zero Tenacity. They know there's a potential pirate on the flank. And Ruby playing with fire, but he knows he's got himself plenty of mobility with that ultimate, so he backs himself away. So in a 4v5, you don't get any kills to Zero Tenacity, and you lose bot lane tier 2.
Yeah, again, UOL just playing the map out well. Zero Tenacity trying to see if they can collapse onto Scarface, but Lurox is there to help out with Winsome. So again, just Zero Tenacity trying to find their victory through these fights, but UOL will continues to put pressure on these sides. And with only 2 dragons now for Zero Tenacity, they're not really getting the opportunity to easily deal with these sides. Like, you have Scarface who can play side, Ruby who can play side, and Shiganari can somewhat keep pace in mid, but you need to, as Zero Tenacity, find ways to quickly pick Scarface and Ruby when they try to play it through side lanes. Otherwise, they'll continue putting pressure, they'll start to take turrets, and that's where you're going to start to fall very far behind as Zero Tenacity.
Yeah, you do have the Frozen Heart now being finished up by Momo, so he should be a little bit better in that side lane, but it is going to be a crit plank, excuse me, coming in here for Scarface. So going to have that IE again with the changes to him very recently. It's kind of the only real build you can go right now, but it is still very scary.
Yeah, he's going to hurt like insane, like 5.5k ahead. Like, he is so much of Unicorns of Love damage, especially since you're still kind of waiting for like the Infinity Edge to come through on Shiganari before it becomes that massive threat. And I think the biggest problem that you're seeing for UOL is that because VZZ should win out of mid push, it's very difficult for them to easily play into these side lanes. So that's why you're kind of seeing UOL using instead their opportunity to try and get vision control, see if they can find Zero Tenacity in their own jungle rather than playing fully through the side lanes.
Yeah, I will say the Zeri gonna back away. Shiganari just recognizing I've been caught like this quite a few times, and this time I don't have my cleanse, so I want to make sure that I don't get caught again. But in the bot lane, like you said, Scarface having a time of his life. Not only is he items, but he's also 2 levels ahead, so those barrels are gonna start to hurt. Actually, don't hurt that much now because you have the frozen hearts. So, but now that you know that the Sejuani is down, I imagine they're tracking TP timers. You know there's not going to be Sejuani at the next fight, but you still have the cannon barrage.
Yeah, and that's why I'm kind of surprised to see the collector here. I thought we'd get Lord Dominic's regard coming through. Like, I know you still get a ton of armor shred coming through with the barrels, but it feels like to me Scarface is more going to be trying to play almost like a front to back style fight. I don't think you'll ever really get a barrel combo onto the backline from VZZ alone, and if he does, Lurox and Ruby should already be dealing a ton of damage. It would just give him more of a threat in the side lane, but at the moment it's not going to like be too much to write home about. When he finishes this Infinity Edge, that's really when Scarface's damage is going to start to balloon. Same when you look at Shiganari. So Zero Tenacity, at least at the moment though, are holding their waves in check and should be able to still fight for this next dragon in 40 seconds without having lost too much to UL's side lane pressure.
And the great thing is as well, like you mentioned earlier, is that yes, it is only 2 dragons to 0 tenacity, but it means that it's only 1 to the side of Unicorns of Love. So you're not on a massive timer. The Dragon Soul is a million miles away for Unicorns of Love, and you still have a Sivir. You still have very good scaling here on 0 tenacity, and it can come down to just team fight mechanics. That gold lead for the Gangplank is fantastic, but when we start to get to 30, 35, 40 minutes, that doesn't mean a lot because you're kind of equaling it up anyway.
Well, Rivers established for UOL here at the moment. You're still looking at Lurox. Like, an Infernal Rift like this is really good for a team that wants to flank in the manner that UOL does, because you have so many different ways you can go about it. Shiganari as well, getting good poke with the Ultra Shock Laser, and just making sure it's uncomfortable for Zero Tenacity to go in here.
Yeah, the charm does land, but again, it's only onto the... Oh, I was going to say it's only onto the Nautilus, but the Ultra Shock Laser lands onto quite a few more. You will still have the healing, and you should see those health bars very much topped up again. Charm lands back down here onto Mummus, but they're not trying to jump onto Lurox. They know which one he is. They do miss out on the ultimate from the Sejuani, but it doesn't matter. Now you don't have a jungler and no cannon barrage. They can't fight this anymore.
And again, Lurox tries to make these sneaky plays, tries to find access to the backline, but Ruby isn't with them. This needs to be the pair that holds the hands of each other as they go in, but Zero Tenacity now getting another dragon, and suddenly, I mean, if you're an LFL fan, you're kind of looking, wait a second, UOL, you might end up losing to Zero Tenacity and making things a hell of a lot easier for us, but also Zero Tenacity keeping their dream alive of getting into playoffs.
Again, the Ultra League yet to secure a seed. This was just a great opportunity. This is the power of the Vibe. Point and click CC. Your decoy doesn't work because you're locked on. And that means we're on a sole point for Zero Tenacity. The gold lead is just the Gangplank. I'm not even going to say that for anybody else because that's all it is. And now as we come back towards the 30-minute mark, you've got a soul that you have to fight for as Unicorns in the next 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, and this is where it starts to get really difficult again because you don't have control over mid-wave, because Shiganari can't push as heavily as VZZ. It's really hard for EOL to try and play in through these side lanes, and Zero Tenacity have been doing a really good job of not overextending in their own jungle. They're happy to just try and spot out if EOL are ever trying to overload one side of the map, make sure that they're not going to get caught out by that, and then playing towards their win condition, which is this team fight. And this is such a massive step up from Zero Tenacity. Like, this team has been a little bit shaky in playing towards their win conditions, having a strong early game, matching map pressure, but at the moment they're doing a fantastic job here in this game.
4 items now onto Scarface. He does have the IE finished up and completed, but it is equaled out, I will honestly say, by the Sivir, and now you got the Chemtech Putrefier as well. So Sebekx going to be able to kind of give the rest of his team so much value with the anti-heal. As we do see now more and more poke coming out. The Zeri, though, is still very, very scary. And for the Ultra League, it's been a while since we've seen them in a final. The last time we actually saw them in a final was 2020 summer. As I say that, they're going to catch out the Zeri, who has the flash and cleanse, but they've been followed over the wall, shut down, given out to VCZ, who flashed to try and make it happen. One more auto attack onto the monkey would do it. It's just too separated. He turns it back, and the Ahri is dead. But Ryuzaki knows it is just to delay the inevitable. He's trying to run away. The flash is good from Lurox just to keep him on top of the Vibe, but I think it's only a matter of time. I've been said he's making some moves. He's trying to move forward, but not quite able to get away. It is a 4 for 2, and that was just a moment for Zero Tenacity. They just got separated.
Scarface says, say hello to my little friend on the backline there, immediately getting onto VZZ and changing the entire outcome of this fight. Shiganari very far overextended here. Tries to get the kill onto Wojtus, but immediately gets turned on. But Scarface jumps onto Sebekx, gets the kill there. VZZ tries to go over the wall himself on the opposite side and ends up falling into the hands of Lurox, with Ruby there to help him out as well. So just that having more damage dealers available on UOL's side means they can actually carry this fight through, and with that get the Baron as well. That was so close for Zero Tenacity, but Scarface just in the right place at the right time.
Again, just the added benefit of a Yuumi. You get extra combat summoners, you get the heal, the exhaust, the cleanse, the flash. You get to go with this because you just have so much extra to build from it. And again, like we mentioned earlier, Scarface, so big, so scary. I will say, though, you still have very short-range composition, and you still have a Sivir and a Seraphine. So these waves are kind of easy to bit. I think the side lanes is where you're going to get the most value out of this from the side of Unicorns.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do at the moment, right? Push in mid first so that then they can lean into sides, because if VZZ is just able to immediately clear out these waves mid and then they can collapse on sides, it's really hard for UL to match. So now Zero Tenacity kind of doing just that, right? You push in mid, now they're trying to collapse onto this Gangplank.
I mean, they could make it work. Remember, there's no flash here for Scarface. He does have teleport. They're going to know he's there, so he knows he can't respond, and they're going to try and burn him down. There's going to be no way he can escape with all the damage they have possible to them. They take down the split-pushing menace, but what do you lose because of it? You got Ruby on the top side there, and you've got yourself the Zeri and the Yuumi in the mid. Momo's trying to do the best he can to defend this tower, but again, the Baron buff does so much, so they'll lose one inhibitor turret, but they stop the pressure from the rest of the lanes. I think Zero Tenacity can be pretty happy with the result of that.
Yeah, the fact they keep their turret is the key one, because in 50 seconds that Inferno Soul is going to be up and available for Zero Tenacity. Not having these super waves on top side is going to make it a little bit easier for them to set up for that. You can see them actually immediately starting to move over towards that objective. Stopwatch there for VZZ in this fight means he can play that a little bit more aggressive and try to keep himself safe, but he still has to be so careful about this dive from Unicorns and Love.
I mean, you got a good few seconds before Scarface on the map, so he will be in time because he has got TP and, of course, the kind of barrage, but this is fully Zero Tenacity creating the space, getting themselves set up, ready to go. They've got great pick wards here, and with a Vine and Nautilus, this is great pick opportunity. You do have a bit of a cleanse available, though. You still don't have combat summoners for Winsome, so this is getting a bit dicey, and again, Zero Tenacity, they're holding on it, maybe by their fingernails, but they're still holding.
Yeah, you can see the poke from Shiganari and Scarface, though, starting to pay dividends. This is where, for at least Zero Tenacity, they want to try and play around their vision, see if they can find that quick engage and not allow themselves to get poked down. Wojtus standing off on the side. This hook could be crucial.
Look at Lurox, he's off to the back end there. He knows he can get a bit of a side move if they go for it. So the dragon has been started. They know it's been started, but there's a hook. It's going to go down there straight away to get the charm in. And Scarface goes golden with the Zonyas. They get down the Nautilus. As you can see, the Vine trying to jump on this backside. They've lost the Seraphine, so your healing is no longer relevant. Yes, you got Scarface, but you lost everything else. You won the battle, and you lost the war. Unicorns are going to 4-0. Zero Tenacity, they got to hope for a miracle.
Finally, UOL are able to find the pinch that they want, but it's just not it's going to be enough more than likely as they go through towards the end. Zero Tenacity just not able to find a response at all. VZZ trying his best to run away, but it's not going to be it. UOL will close this one out.
Yeah, again, we talked about it. Zero Tenacity not out yet, but they are heavily relying on other results now. There is only one scenario where we get a three-way tiebreaker at 1.56%. And yes, we are still in that scenario, but it's going to take a hell of a difference here to try and make that one work.
Yeah, I mean, they really have to hope that a lot of these big games go very differently throughout this, where you're looking especially at that LFL representative not being able to pick up any more of their games. And I mean, that's a tough one. That's a very hard one to try and say that that's likely to go ahead with, especially with the way LFL have been dominating this tournament.
Yeah, and look, you know, I gotta say, Zero Tenacity, they came in with a game plan. They understood how they wanted to play, but I just think that Unicorns, it just got too hard. It just got too big, really, for them to kind of, you know, really kind of get away from them. And yes, you committed everything on the Scarface, but the extra stopwatch, the extra little bit of healing from the Yuumi just made it so that by the time you killed them, you still had a Zeri and an Ahri to deal with. Yeah,
I think the biggest problem for them was the fact that you get, like, that last fight, Lurox actually found a really good flank onto VZZ. They committed a huge amount of the resources onto Scarface, who was able to survive. And then you've got this massive collapse, right, where Ruby is on towards Sebekx, he's killing him. Lurox has gotten on towards VZZ, so the Sivir isn't really dealing the AoE damage they want. That, like, front to back style that you were really looking for Zero Tenacity never really came to fruition.
And again, it started from great play on the bot side. They knew how they wanted to play through BZZ, but it just, again, like you said, just never really kind of moved there. And again, there was so many great opportunities. I feel like this dragon was it. Think about it. You get this dragon, that means you probably have soul. It's a completely different game.
Yeah, and I think that's where we kind of saw that. I think Zero Tenacity did a fantastic job in this, but you're kind of seeing that UOL are that step above. Understanding how they can play at the map properly to make things uncomfortable for Zero Tenacity, how they're setting up vision control in the early game so Zero Tenacity can't just run away with this. And then as well, when you're looking at trying to find opportunities at these fights, UOL were making things very uncomfortable consistently for Zero Tenacity, and it just never really felt like, despite the early lead Zero Tenacity got, that they could actually carry this one through.
Yeah, it just felt like, again, just Scarface got too big. Again, like you said, say hello to my little friend. He was just absolutely massive on that backside. We didn't even get to see the full fight of him getting onto the back line after that fight because it was all focused onto that AD carry. And I do want to give a quick shout out to Ryuzaki because I think he played exceptionally well on this Vi. I think he did exactly what he needed to do. It's just, again, you're a Vi, you're a tank, you're just not going to be the damage dealer.
Yeah, especially with the build, Divine Sunder into full tank. You don't have the damage that you need to try and carry fights. And I think as well, again, like the team fighting from UOL was just a bit stronger, right? Like you see these picks that are coming through that are working out really well for Zero Tenacity, but when it came up to the straight 5v5s, like so many times Ruby or Scarface was finding his way onto VZZ. We talked about him kind of being that core damage dealer. Like even here, right? Like Shiganari gets completely caught out, Scarface gets rid of Sebekx immediately, and VZZ tries to win the fight by flashing over, but he just runs directly into Lurox, and that damage is just going to be too much. So I think the multiple threats when it came to damage, the multiple flank angles, Zero Tenacity had to try and play into backing up into their own jungle, like trying to corral UOL into a specific spot, but they just never really found that opportunity.
Yeah, and look, again, the game was still, it felt closer than the gold lead probably pertained to, but this was it. This was the final fight. You've got the flank from Lurox, and yes, it's a great ultimate use to try and kill off Scarface, but you got the stopwatch, you've got so many ways of keeping him alive, and by the time you actually kill him, everything's already done and dusted.
Yeah, again, like VZZ has to go golden immediately because the Lurox are going in aggressively onto him. He gets a handful of auto attacks off before the second cyclone hits and he ends up falling down. So just really well orchestrated team fights from UOL, and I mean, you can see the damage dealer there. It was always going to be Scarface.
Yep. he was the kingpin, if you will, coming into this particular game, and just did exceptionally well. I think that, you know, again, the draft from UOL was incredibly smart. They recognized that, look, Sebekx can play the Seraphine. They obviously want to see what we're going into. We're going to force them into a top lane counter pick, and there's the confirmation. 4-0 for Unicorns. They're not confirmed just yet. We could, of course, have a 4-2 tiebreaker between Giants, Vitality B, and Unicorns of Love. And then, of course, Zero Tenacity. They got to hope for a miracle a little bit. They've got to, what was it, kind of figure it out. But I believe we do have Ryuzaki, the jungler from Zero Tenacity, joining us here at the moment. First of all, you know, a tough loss. I think you guys played exactly as you wanted to do. But coming into this one here, I like to kind of pick your brain as such like that. You guys are coming into EU Masters, obviously, as the Ultra League champions, but you guys kept the entire same roster from last split and even last year. So how's it been kind of building that roster and building up with the same players for so long?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, I think, always a good start when you have like 5 people from even the spring split, right? So we had a lot of things to build on from start of the year. So it definitely helped when it comes to like the summer split and everything. I think we ended up 4th place in spring. We had a lot of problems, but then after that, like knowing that you're going to be playing with 5 same people right after, I think it helps you like build on the start that you had like in the start, and then you can like continue improving. And yeah, I think it helped us a lot.
So how do you feel now going into the rest of the day? There is still a chance that you guys can make it in towards playoffs. I know it's a very small one, but you can kind of see the growth that you guys have gotten over the course of EU Masters. Like, I think this game, like, you guys show that you deserve to be here, was a fantastic showing. So, like, do you have any kind of special plans going into the rest of it, or are you going to go back to kind of playing your style and seeing if you can get it across the finish line with some helpful, some help coming through from the rest of the teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of like in a tricky situation now, so we're like looking at only one game at a time, right? I mean, I don't really personally care too much what happens. I think what's important for us is like just to show that we can actually play against these teams. Like the result right now, it's pretty bad, but yeah, I think like just taking it one game at a time and showing that we actually can play against these teams. It's most important thing for us, and I hope we can like show this kind of performance against other teams as well. I think our group is pretty tough, but that's like EU Masters. You don't get like free wins here or easy teams. So yeah, I'm just happy I get to compete here, and hopefully we'll do better in future games.
Yeah, well, we have one more question for our time for one more question. I do have a quick one. Do you think it's going to be an LFL champion again, or do you believe in another region to shake the both?
Well, I mean, I think LFL is for sure the strongest, but I mean, Unicorns of Lava is also showing pretty scary performances. So, I mean, if I have to bet, I would say that LFL is going to be the champion again. But like, if I see one other team, then maybe it's Unicorns of Lava. Yeah.
All right. Well, Ryuzaki, thank you so much. Of course, condolences for losing today, but you guys aren't out just yet, and we look forward to your next game. And again, thank you for the interview.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
And yeah, we're going to send it out to a quick break. When we return, we will have our second game of the day, which is Giants versus Vitality B.